Assalamu alaikum. Myself Afsha Iqbal and I am here to present Fortification of Foods under the supervision of Dr. Hammad Majeed. This review article dives deep into the world of fortified foods, exploring different ways to add nutrients and focusing on how this can help with vitamin D deficiency. We start by looking at various methods like adding tiny nutrients or boosting certain properties in foods. From there, we explore different types of fortification, such as enriching common foods, adding nutrients to condiments, and creating dietary supplements, each playing a unique role in promoting public health. Then we shift our attention to issue of not getting enough vitamin D, investigating why it happens and what it means for our health. We emphasize how fortifying our foods can be a strategic solution to tackle vitamin D deficiency. Throughout the discussion, we stress the need to adapt fortification plans to different diets and cultural habits. We also examine how safe and effective these fortification methods are in improving overall health and preventing potential risk. In conclusion, this summary encourages a practical and proactive approach to addressing vitamin D deficiency through well-designed food fortification plans. It highlights the potential of fortification to be a reliable and sustainable strategy, helping fill nutritional gaps and promoting better health for everyone. After abstract, now we will see introduction to this review article. Maternal and child undernutrition cause 45% of all deaths in children under 5 in low and middle income countries. A particularly widespread problem in low and middle income countries is hidden hunger, or a chronic lack of essential vitamins and minerals in the diet. Deficiencies in one or more micronutrients such as iron, zinc, and vitamin comprises the physical and cognitive capacity of millions of people. Overall, it has been estimated that micronutrient deficiencies account for Overall, it has been estimated that micronutrient deficiencies account for about 7.3% of the global burden of disease, and iron deficiency and vitamin A deficiency rank among the 15 leading causes of global disease burden, contributing to the deaths of over 1 million children annually. The World Health Organization estimates that 42% of children less than 5 years of age and 40% of pregnant women worldwide are anemic. Pregnant women with severe anemia are twice as likely to die during or shortly after pregnancy than non-anemic women. And for their children, micronutrient deficiencies in uterus can lead to low birth weight and brain and spinal defects. Micronutrient deficiencies are due primarily to inadequate intake of dense foods and nutrient losses due to poor diet, infections, and during menstruation. Metabolic requirements for micronutrients are especially high during early development, pregnancy, and lactation. The World Health Organization and the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization have adopted 4 main strategies for improving dietary intake: food fortification, micronutrient supplementation, nutrition education, and disease control measures. The fortification of staple foods is one strategy that has a proven history in improving dietary diversity and effectively decreasing micronutrient deficiencies. Now, firstly, we will see what is food fortification. Food fortification or enrichment is the process of adding micronutrients. Micronutrients may be essential trace elements and vitamins to foods. It can be carried out by food manufacturer or by governments as a public health policy which aims to reduce the number of people with dietary deficiencies within a population. The predominant diet within a region can lack particular nutrients due to the local soil or from inherent deficiencies within the staple foods. The addition of micronutrients to staples and condiments can prevent large-scale deficiency diseases in these cases. As defined by the World Health Organization and the Food and Agricultural Organization of United Nations, fortification refers to the practice of deliberately increasing the content of essential micronutrients such as vitamins and minerals, including trace elements in a food, to improve the nutritional quality of food supply and to provide a public health benefit with minimal risk to health. Whereas enrichment is defined as synonymous with fortification and refers to the addition of micronutrients to a food which are lost during processing. Other than this, food fortification refers to the addition of micronutrients to processed foods. In many situations, this strategy can lead to relatively rapid improvements in the micronutrient status of a population and at a very reasonable cost, especially if advantage can be taken of existing technology and local distribution network. Since the benefits are potentially large, food fortification can be a very cost-effective public health intervention. However, an obvious requirement is that the fortified food needs to be consumed in adequate amounts by a large proportion of the target individuals in a population. It is also necessary to have access to and to use fortificants that are well absorbed yet do not affect the sensory properties of foods. In most cases, it is preferable to use food vehicles that are centrally processed and to have the support of the food industry. Fortification of food with micronutrient is a valid technology for reducing micronutrient malnutrition as part of a food-based approach when and where existing food supplies and limited access fail to provide adequate levels of the respective nutrient in the diet. In such cases, food fortification reinforces and supports ongoing nutrition improvement programs and should be regarded as part of a broader integrated approach to prevent malnutrition, thereby complementing other approaches to improve micronutrient status. The practice of incorporating micronutrients such as vital vitamins and trace elements into food is known as food fortification or enrichment. It is a public health initiative that tries to lower the population's rate of dietary deficiencies and can be carried either by food producers or governments. A region's typical diet may be deficient in some nutrients because of the local soil or due to intrinsic inadequacies in the staple foods. In these situations, Adding micronutrients to staples and condiments helps prevent widespread deficiency disorders. Fortification is the practice of intentionally increasing the content of an essential micronutrient such as vitamins and minerals, including trace elements in a food to improve the nutritional quality of food supply and to provide a public health benefit with minimal risk to health. According to the World Health Organization and Food and Agricultural Organization, the United Nations, while enrichment is defined as synonymous with fortification. The most often fortified foods, according to the Food and Agricultural Organization, include cereals and products made from cereals, milk and dairy products, fats and oils, food items, tea and other beverages, and infant formula. Inadequate nutrition and nutrition intake are thought to be the cause of between 3 and 5 million deaths annually worldwide. The public health benefits of fortification may either be demonstrable or indicated as potential or pulsable by generally accepted scientific research and include: first one is prevention or minimization of the risk of occurrence of micronutrient deficiency in a population or specific population groups. Contribution to the correction of a demonstrated micronutrient deficiency in a population or specific population groups. A potential for an improvement in nutritional status and dietary intakes that may be or may become suboptimal as a result of change in dietary habits, lifestyles. And the last one is possible beneficial effects of micronutrients consistent with maintaining or improving health. For example, there is some evidence to suggest that a diet rich in selected antioxidants might help to prevent cancer and other diseases. For example, deficiency of different micronutrients can be covered by fortifying food mediums. For example, if there is deficiency of iodine micronutrient, it can be covered by fortifying different food mediums like salt, bakery products, and water. Other than this, iron, vitamin A, folic acid, and vitamin D deficiency can be prevented by fortifying different food mediums. There are different 4 basic types of fortification. First one is mass fortification, second one market driven fortification, third one targeted fortification, and last one is point of use fortification. Now we will see brief introduction to mass fortification. Mass fortification is the term used to describe the addition of one or more micronutrients to foods commonly consumed by the general public, such as cereals, condiments, and milk. It is usually investigated, mandated, and regulated by the government sector. Mass fortification is generally the best option when the majority of the population has an unacceptable risk in terms of public health of being or becoming deficient in specific micronutrients. In some situations, deficiency may be demonstrable, as evidenced by unacceptably low intakes and or biochemical signs of deficiency. In others, the population may not actually be deficient according to usual biochemical or dietary criteria. but are likely to benefit from fortification. The mandatory addition of folic acid to wheat flour with a view to lowering the risk of birth defects, a practice which has been introduced in Canada and United States are also in many Latin American countries, is one example of the latter scenario. Now we will see about targeted fortification. In targeted food fortification programs, foods aimed at specific subgroups of the population are fortified, thereby increasing the intake of that particular group rather than that of the population as a whole. Examples include complementary foods for infants and young children, foods developed for school feeding programs, special biscuits for children and pregnant women, and rations, blended foods for emergency feeding and displaced persons. In some cases, such foods may be required to provide a sustainable proportion of daily micronutrient requirements of the target group. The majority of blended foods for feeding refugees and displaced persons are managed by the World Food Programme, and guidelines covering their fortification, including wheat soya blends and corn soy blends, are already available. Although blended foods usually supply all or nearly all of the energy and protein intake of refugees and displaced individuals, especially in the earlier stage of dislocation, for historical reasons, such food may not always provide adequate amount of all micronutrients. Therefore, other sources of micronutrients may need to be provided. In particular, it may be necessary to add iodized salt to foods, provide iron supplement to pregnant women, or supply high-dose vitamin A supplements to young children and postpartum women. Whenever possible, fresh fruits and vegetables should be added to the diets of displaced persons relying on blended foods. Fortified foods for displaced persons are often targeted at children and pregnant or lactating women. Now we will see the third type of fortification as market-driven fortification. The term market-driven fortification is applied to situations whereby a food manufacturer takes a business-oriented initiative to add specific amounts of one or more micronutrients to processed foods. Although voluntary, this type of food fortification usually takes place within government set regulatory limits. Market-driven fortification can play a positive role in public health by contributing to meeting nutrient requirements and thereby reducing the risk of micronutrient deficiency. In the European Union, fortified processed foods have been shown to be a sustainable source of micronutrients such as iron and vitamin A and D. Market-driven fortification can also improve the supply of micronutrients that are otherwise difficult to add in sufficient amounts through the mass fortification of staple foods and condiments because of safety, technological, or cost constraints. Examples include certain minerals, for example, iron, calcium, and sometimes selected vitamins, vitamin C, vitamin B2. Market-driven fortification is more widespread in industrialized countries, where in most developing countries the public health impact of market-driven food interventions is still rather limited. However, their importance is likely to be greater in the future because of increasing urbanization and wider availability of such foods. The predicted increase in the availability of fortified processed foods in developing countries has given rise to a number of concerns. Firstly, these fortified foods, especially those that are attractive to consumers, could divert consumers from their usual dietary pattern and result in, for example, an increased consumption of sugar or a lower consumption of fiber. Secondly, because in most developing countries, food fortified through market-driven fortification currently receive second regulatory attention, even though such foods are intended for wide-scale consumption. There is a potential risk that unnecessarily high levels of micronutrients may be delivered to children if the same serving size of the fortified foods such as breakfast cereals, beverage and nutrition bars is intended for all members of a household. Regulation is thus necessary to ensure that the consumption of these foods will not result in an excessive intake of micronutrients. Furthermore, manufacturers of processed fortified foods should be encouraged to follow the same quality control and assurance procedures as those that are prescribed for mandatory mass fortified products. Market-driven fortification can also play a positive role in public health by contributing to meeting nutrient requirements and thereby reducing the risk of micronutrient deficiency. In the European Union, fortified processed foods have been shown to be a sustainable source of micronutrients such as iron. Last type of food fortification is point of use fortification. It refers to the addition of essential vitamins and minerals to food at the household or individual level just before consumption. This is done to enhance the nutritional content of the food and address specific nutrient deficiencies in the diet. Unlike large-scale fortification, which occurs at the industrial level in the production of food staples, point-of-use fortification allows individuals to customize the nutritional content of their meals. Common examples of point-of-use fortification include adding iodized salt to food, fortifying beverage with vitamin D or calcium, or incorporating vitamin and mineral supplements into the meal. This approach is particularly useful in situations where there may be specific deficiencies in certain nutrients in a population, and it provides individuals with more control over their nutrient intake. Point of use fortification can be a practical and cost-effective strategy to improve the nutritional status of individuals or communities, especially in settings where large-scale fortification may be logistically challenging or where there are variations in dietary practices. However, it is important to ensure that individuals receive accurate information and guidance on the appropriate use and dosage of fortified product to prevent overconsumption and potential adverse effect. Now we will mainly talk about vitamin D fortification, that how this fortification can help to prevent deficiency of vitamin D in individuals.